hopefully, and the intro will play in 3, 2, 1. Now.
Here I come.
I sense something not elusive. Stay a while and listen.
Well met. You are not prepared. This better be good.
Existence is mysterious.
Loud and clear. Hello there.
Greetings, traveler, and welcome to the Blade Quiz.
Oh, and here we go. The show is on. We are live, and I hit some right buttons at least. So let's jump straight into some things we want to talk about. And one of those things is Heroes of the Storm. We got a few news. Just to quickly set this up, how I experienced it on our Discord. Someone posted a little YouTube video called Heroes of the Storm Cataclysm. It's a fan-made video for Heroes of the Storm, and I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. It's pretty cool. You guys saw it as well, right?
Oh yeah,
I saw bits of it.
I watched it before the show, and I know I've recently seen Infinity Wars. Oh, I've spoiled that part of the video. But just
Yeah,
the music. Oh my goodness, I'm getting like spine tingles from this video. Even if
Yeah,
it is
so-
called Cataclysm, you know, when you hear the word Cataclysm, you usually don't generally feel good, but watching this video, you feel good. You'll feel good.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So the thing that happened next was the day after, I think, someone posted another video into the Discord, and I started watching it, and I was like, oh yeah, Alterac Valley, that's a pretty cool idea to put into Heroes of the Storm. Why have nobody thought about that before? And I was just sitting there thinking that, oh, Blizzard should really do this. And then the video ended, and I actually realized, oh, shoot, this is actually an official Blizzard video. This is going into the game right now, so maybe Blizzard did think about it.
Maybe. It's been a long time coming for a World of Warcraft map to come into Heroes of the Storm. It's been a big thing. People have been waiting for it, and it's finally here. And you guys are probably a bit more excited for it than I am, because you have more history with World of Warcraft than the actual map itself. So map-wise, I'm gonna hand it off to you guys, because I want to hear your opinions on it. Both of you have watched the video, I assume. You've seen a bit of the mechanics and things like that. So how does it compare to your nostalgic feelings of Alterac Valley?
I don't know about you, Tom, but does this mean that Heroes of the Storm Battlegrounds will now take like 3 days?
I know, I can't believe you stole my joke, but yeah, this was like the first thing I thought. I was like, Heroes games already sometimes take 20 minutes. Now I'm gonna have to play for like 3 days to conclude a game of Alterac Valley. But it's not called. It's called Alterac Pass, isn't it? In Heroes of the Storm, so it's not the total namesake. Have I got that right? No? Yeah? Maybe? Nobody knows.
Sure.
I think it's called Alterac Pass because that's what I read, and nobody else is speaking, so therefore I'll just own this. But yeah, obviously it's not going to take 3 days. They had to...
It's called Echoes of Alterac.
But that's not the event. Is that not the event? There's an event.
Oh yeah, you're
for
right.
this
That's
as
the
well,
event.
which is
Never mind. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. I don't know.
I apologize to my co-hosts. So we're gonna get an event with this as well, and coming with the map. And yeah, Alterac Valley, when you think back of when this was first introduced into World of Warcraft, it's totally changed almost how it plays out now, because it used to be this epic warfare that lasts for days, and you were going around doing like PvE things and collecting scraps of metals to summon big dudes, and just, yeah, it took ages, and how they were gonna take that and put it into a game like Heroes, where it's supposed to be a bit more fast-paced and things need to happen a bit more quickly than 3 days, because people might be watching this on esports competitions, and we've got the kind of representation of the cores as commanders, the guys that you fight at the end and you take them down and it says, Horde wins. That's always what happens for me as an alliance player.
Hey, Tom, you have to remember, back in those days, we were actually playing Horde, so
we were
usually
playing Horde.
they usually said Alliance wins, right? Back then.
You're tripping
Actually,
over
no,
your
I mean-
lies. We can't. Okay, okay. One says another. What's going on here?
I mean, back in those days, and not to turn into one of those episodes, but I remember getting home from school and instantly queuing for Alterac Valley on my Horde character, and the queue would take maybe 1 to 2 hours to get in. And then when I finally got in, I very rarely lost in in Alterac Valley as a Horde. And I don't know why, because it was supposed to be this big imbalance between the two races. But I feel like it went through switches of who dominated that battleground. But
Yeah, but it
we
was
should
so
probably
crazy.
talk about the heroes. The heroes.
It was, yeah, just to quickly finish it up. It was so crazy that you could actually, like as you said, Tom, come home from school or work or whatever, and then jump into the same Alterac Valley that you left like 8 hours earlier.
Ridiculous.
Good old days. Good old days.
I will
old
say
days.
that I have heard from people who have tested the map out that it does not last 3 days. Okay, it is like a normal Heroes of the Storm map, so
It takes 40 minutes then, okay.
calm your nostalgia breaks right there. Okay.
They effed it up.
You mean I can finish it? No, I'm not interested anymore.
This is so unrealistic. Jeez.
No, I mean, like, we have the, there's like a motor race in France, and it's called like the Le Mans 24-hour race. This could be a new esports where, 3 days worth of.
Nobody
it's
wants
like
to watch nerds get sweaty for more than 2 hours at a time. Okay, 24 hours, no. Too much.
It's kind of like baseball, Michael, because in baseball they play like 120 games a season or whatever, but really only the last 5 matter. It's just that kind of thing where it's like, yeah, you know what?
What do you mean only the last 5 matter? You went to one baseball game and now you understand the entirety of the sport?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. But yeah, you would probably just have like 3 days of nothing, and then it's really just the last 5 minutes of action that would be worth watching. So I'm glad it's not 3 days. I'm gonna put that out there, even as a big vanilla kind of person from World of Warcraft. I'm glad that we don't have to play this for 3 days.
But yeah, let's jump into just quickly look at what actually is in there. As you said, instead of the nexuses, we have the commanders that we need to kill off. And when they start out in the battle, they have, like, I don't know, more health, more armor, and some abilities and stuff like that. And then by doing some of the objectives, you can actually remove some of that armor and whatever they're doing, so it gets easier to kill. So basically, that is basically taken out of the Alterac Valley handbook, right? That you get the towers, remove some of the extra ads that might kill you, and then you can actually take on the boss towards the end. So that sounds pretty standard Alterac Valley to me, right?
Yeah, I mean, they always seem to have a way of making the maps have its own flavor, and I think when you're pulling from something that actually has a representation and making that its own thing can always be tricky as well. But something that just popped into my head is, do you think like doing something like this with Alterac Valley and kind of a World of Warcraft influenced kind of event, do you think that's like a really big marketing decision as well? Because it's like, what if we really go all in on this, like Alterac Valley, the Warcraft contingency they're gonna turn their heads at least and look at this and go, oh, maybe that's something I would be interested in as well. And it would be interesting to kind of see the shift that you maybe get with an event that's solely kind of Warcraft based and that sort of focus on things, because it does make you take note if you're just like a Warcraft player and you see something so heavily Warcraft influence going into another game.
But I mean, isn't it the same with Diablo as well? We had a heavy Diablo influenced map as well. We had a few heavy influenced StarCraft maps as well. I just had to think, did I say Star Wars or StarCraft right there?
You said StarCraft. You had it right.
I said StarCraft, yeah. So I think it's the same in that aspect, but I think that Alterac Valley is probably a huge deal, right? Because there's like potentially 10 million people who have played Alterac Valley at some point in their lives, where the others is probably not weighing as much on the normal player who plays Heroes of the Storm. So yeah, but I obviously think that it might actually carry some interest from the World of Warcraft players as well.
It would be interesting to hear kind of from because I know there's a lot of people out there that just solely play World of Warcraft and that they don't really dabble too much in other Blizzard games, and it would be interesting to kind of know if if they are kind of into their battlegrounds in World of Warcraft as well, that if something like this would make them turn their head and maybe even consider making the jump into the game that perhaps they weren't really interested. But we know that they've done little things like this before with kind of mount giveaways and to get World of Warcraft players to get their feet wet in the kind of Nexus. And this could be just another one of those things to generate a bit more interest as well. And like you say, Marty, I feel like it holds a bit more weight than a Diablo event and a StarCraft event as well, just simply because of the numbers behind that.
Yeah, because the other games suck.
Wow.
Damn, there we go.
Just gonna leave.
Well, no, I totally agree with you. So, I don't know, it's bad podcasting.
I mean, that's our tagline of the show, so don't worry about that.
Bad podcasting. Yeah.
What
Yeah,
about
I don't know.
What about from the reverse then? Because Michael's saying like we grew up with this, Marty. This is one of our favorite pastimes in World of Warcraft is playing in the snow, throwing snowballs and killing horde. What about from the reverse, Michael? You love your Heroes of the Storm, right? So
Yeah.
you're gonna jump in here, play some Alterac Valley. Is that gonna make you go, you know what? I'm playing World of Warcraft today, and I've played a lot of Alterac pass in Heroes of the Storm. You know, I'm gonna jump into Alterac Valley in World of Warcraft and take a look at how this
How it
plays out
compares.
in the comparison. Yeah.
As of right now, I don't have that feeling at all. I'm interested in the map in Heroes, and maybe once I play it a lot, then I will get the feeling of trying it out in World of Warcraft. But I've done some PvP in World of Warcraft, and I've done Heroes of the Storm, and I've been a part of all of those cross promotions. And aside from the Overwatch ones, none of them really feel all that much like their counterparts. I think the Overwatch ones felt the most, people not getting on payloads and not getting on the point. That's how it felt. And I'm not a big PvPer in World of Warcraft, and I don't feel like it echoes in Heroes of the Storm in terms of gameplay. So I, for one, am not really all that interested in going to World of Warcraft and playing the mirror. I'm just interested in testing it out in Heroes of the Storm.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Oh.
We got phones going
Whoopsies.
off and everything.
Somebody's
Calling into the show. They're upset about what I just said. The lines are blazing.
we have a listener on the blue.
Hello.
No, but I'm just thinking that can you actually make that comparison these days anyway? Because I mean, Alterac Valley today, I find is a shadow compared to how it used to be. I feel like their original had something special. I mean, sure, it's probably not like the best thing that a battleground would take days to complete. That's probably not like amazing gameplay or whatever. But
I would say most World of Warcraft battlegrounds are shadows of their former selves, just because of the way the game plays now. And I almost feel like because of Heroes of the Storm, World of Warcraft battlegrounds are a shadow of themselves, just because how Heroes of the Storm works. It feels way better to watch a game of Heroes of the Storm than if you were to spectate a battleground. And I know they've made, and we always talk about this, how they've made improvements to kind of the arena side of things in competitive World of Warcraft, but to me that's never going to be at the height of esports, just simply because it wasn't built that way, whereas Heroes of the Storm was, and you can, as a spectator, what's going on, and it feels good to do that.
Was this by the way the phone ringing? Was that Frasley coming back at us because he just wrote in chat? Is this Recluse pizza?
Yeah.
For me, it comes down to this. Not so I play all the Blizzard games, and I think this is kind of these type of things I feel are not meant for us. Those of us that play all the Blizzard games, they're meant for those people that don't. Because I have no interest in like if it crosses over, I'm jumping maybe into Overwatch to get whatever extra thing I can get in there. I'm jumping into this other game to get whatever extra thing I can in there. It's not necessarily like because it's a crossover that Heroes of the Storm is making me want to play those other games or vice versa. Like if I'm not playing Diablo right now, I don't really want to play Diablo right now, and playing Heroes of the Storm is not going to make me want to go and play Diablo. I might go and do it because I want the goodie that might come with it, and then I'm out. As somebody who already knows the way those games play, I know that it's not going to be representative of the experience that I'm getting here. So I think it's meant for people who aren't playing those games. So it's just like, hey, let me check that out and see what it's like here. I don't have to do that because I already know what that other game is like, and I already know that it's not going to play like this. So that I think is not for me.
No, I wonder how the numbers actually are when they did those, like come over to Heroes of the Storm, do some matches, and get a mount. It could be interesting to see how many actually stayed around, because I know, like all the guildies I know did it. None of them actually stayed for too long. I know
they got their mountain left.
Yeah, exactly. I know there are a few who plays from time to time, but I think it's like similar to me. I play it from time to time, and that's it. But I already did that beforehand, so
it's
I'm
the
curious to
execution
see.
of that as well, though, because a lot of people went in and just played against the AI and just like farmed that as a kind of a grind almost, and a lot of people didn't kind of have that true experience of maybe the competitive aspect of that, or because they didn't want to, and also just playing against the AI for something like that. I wouldn't say it's amazingly fun, and you don't get that thrill that you get of maybe when you're playing against other people. And I know a lot of people just went in and kind of it was just a grind. It was like, yep, I need to do this, and I'm done.
How can I do this
you know,
the quickest?
I'm gone. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, it's just a thought.
That's how I think about podcasting. This, especially like when we do an episode, like how can we get through this the quickest?
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Get it, get out, go home.
Well, that's it. Let's see if I can find the outro music, not intro music. I'm definitely getting in. I want to go in and experience Alterac Valley again at some point. And I actually think that, guys, we should play some Heroes of the Storm together soon. Get some games, some matches going, and do something. And maybe
I'm gonna make my big heroes come back, Decker Kane, and we're gonna go
in
to
Alterac
Valley.
Yeah. There we go. All right, Michael. We also have a new hero, right? A hero that, considering which expansion she came from, she's actually quite interesting, right?
Oh yeah, people are excited for this. People are excited for Yrel, who is a paladin, and is going to be introduced in Heroes of the Storm coming soon. So a lot of people are excited. She was in Warlords of Draenor, and we've been wanting, I think, aside from Uther, who is the Holy Paladin, we've been looking for another paladin and a different one. And this one is a warrior class who specializes in survivability. So if you like feeling like you don't die, this might be the hero for you, especially if you enjoy being a paladin. Because as World of Warcraft players may know, paladins have a lot of utility in terms of not dying. They wear plate armor unless you are me in a raid, then you die really quickly.
Unless you are, I was about to say, unless you are just a paladin tank in a raid these days.
Yeah, then your health just plummets without you knowing what happened.
I
But
feel like Michael was talking to me for a second there. Just personally, if
you don't
like
even play the
playing
game. Why would I bring it up there?
Okay.
Oh,
we have
somebody!
another listener.
Every time I speak, somebody is unhappy with the things that I'm saying today. We need to disable the Blue Recluse hotline, okay?
I know. I mean, why did we think it was a good idea to have a phone in?
Okay. So
Stupid.
a lot of her abilities tie into her survivability. She has an ability called Vindication, which deals holy damage, or holy energy around her dealing damage, as well as healing her, which it actually heals her for more than she actually deals damage. So she's not a heavy damage dealer right there, but she's going to be there for a while because she has that survivability. She also has another ability called Righteous Hammer, which deals damage to enemies in front of her and knocking them away. You can also charge up the ability to increase its knockback distance, so you can use that for a good escape. Just knock them back and kind of run away if you need to. You can also, if you hit it at a maximum charge, it can stun them, which is more survivability because you can escape longer. She also has an engage, Avenging Wrath, where she can leap to a location. I wish the actual paladins in the game had this ability to where we could leap to a location, damage some enemies in an area, slowing them.
Michael, you do have that in World of Warcraft. It's called the Warrior.
I meant for the paladin. Okay. So you can leap in, you can slow them for 50% for up to 1 second, and then charging up the ability will increase its range. So more ways to: 1, you can use that as an engage, or 2, you can use that as an escape, kind of jump in and out. And then her 2 heroic abilities: 1, Sacred Ground. Obviously paladins are known for putting down consecrated ground and things like that. Yrel will sanctify she will sanctify the ground around her, gaining armor until she leaves the area. So that could be a good if your team is planning a big engage. Pop it down, you have some armor, you're ready to put up a fight right there. That could be something that swings things in your favor in terms of a team fight. All of a sudden they think they're going to get you, plop that down, you have armor, you're ready to fight. And then the last one is Ardent Defender, aka the bubble in this one, because you can surround Yrel in a barrier for 3 seconds, which absorbs all damage taken, and it heals her for 50% of the damage received. So if you're up against a team that has a lot of burst damage and you know they're getting ready to light you up, you pop this, you're fully healed if you were damaged, and you're taking all of that, absorbing it, they're popping all their cooldowns, and you are just taking it all in, looking at them with your bubble. Like, what are you guys doing? So
that's in true Alterac Valley style as well, because you would run in to the enemy base, and then all the enemies would swarm around you, then you'd bubble, then you'd Hearthstone back to your main city, then you'd re-queue for the battleground, and hopefully get back 2 hours later.
So yeah, it's an interesting kit.
You actually can talent into a bubble Hearthstone, I think I saw, right? Or is it just something I dreamt or wanted badly?
As far as I see right here, I don't like see that.
Weird.
There's not a yeah, it might have been in the video. Maybe it was in the video.
The alternative universe. The alternative universe. That's the change they made.
Yeah, in the alternate universe, the Hearthstone takes you to your garrison.
Dang, that big retreat.
Cool.
But yeah, it should be interesting. Should be interesting.
There's something bad about this though. There's a negative which we need to bring up, is the fact that obviously Yrel is not going to be featured anymore in World of Warcraft, because it's where Warcraft heroes go to die. It's the Nexus. She's been implemented there. It's almost like the Hall of Fame. It's like, yep, you're done in the franchise now. You know, this is the retirement home. Just scoop them in, and that's it.
But
she's done. She's not gonna.
Is she done? Is she done? Because the thing is that I've seen videos where they've talked about Yrel and BFA, and I'm like, I'm not watching this. I'm not going to spoil myself. So I don't know.
You may be saying she's back.
I might be saying that actually.
There
I'm
may
not
have
sure,
been some
because
whispers.
The thing is that I didn't see the video, so I don't know what they actually talked about. If it was just like, you know, a clickbait or whatever. But I'm pretty sure I saw something about it.
All joking aside, I would love to see her back in World of Warcraft with a big presence, because I know we do talk down about Worlds of Draenor quite a lot, but I feel like the introduction of her character and how they kind of did that. And I know she rose to power pretty quickly, but there's just that cinematic as well, with kind of her fighting against Black Hand with Duratan, and to me that was like one of the most epic parts of Worlds when it came to cinematics, and just that representation of the kind of Horde and the Alliance working together to overcome a common foe. And just when she's like, together, it's like, oh, I get the feels. And I just really liked her. I really liked kind of her representation, and you know, I'm a big Paladin fan anyway, and it's always nice to get a kind of a figurehead to look up to. So I would totally be hyped if she's back for Battle for Azeroth, swinging her hammer of Naru, and you know, especially because it was Murad that, you know, he fell sadly, and I feel like we need that.
Many fell that day.
Too soon. But it's not really. It's like 4 years, 5 years. It's a long time. I'm over it.
All right. Speaking of something that happened a long time ago, Diablo 3 came out a long time ago, and we've been Did we talk about
Yes.
the themes, right? And we were not quite happy about them. Well, it's cool. It's a cool thing, but it was a little bit underwhelming. Anyway, we've recently seen more like job offerings popping up on their website for an unannounced Diablo project.
Oh yes.
And at first, when I saw this, I was actually getting a little bit hyped, right? Because hey, what does this mean? Is it Diablo 4? Is it something new that we don't know anything about? What is it? And then
I know what it is. It's Diablo 76.
Don't. Why you gotta ruin it? Why you gotta ruin it? No.
just like Command and Conquer for mobile. Anyway.
Hey, I saw that and that looked interesting. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, that looked pretty interesting. But this is not the show for that.
No, it's not. Let's make a show. We can talk about this.
It's a good idea. It's a neat idea.
Yeah. My next thought was, this totally means, right, at BlizzCon we will hear something about Diablo, and that's basically what I've been thinking the past few days when since I started we put this in the show notes, and then yesterday I think it was, I watched the YouTube video with Riker, YouTuber, and he actually didn't make a video about this until people started messaging him about it. Hey, why are you not making a video about this?
I think I saw that one.
And his comment was, well, if you look at all the job offerings the last 3 years, they all say the same: a new unannounced Diablo project. So I was kind of like, I went from we're getting a new game to let's see what happens.
So pretty much what Marty is talking about here is that in that video he wasn't all that hyped about it because he showed that like 2 years ago he had made a video almost about the same exact thing that's going on right now, where a new posting was put up and then suddenly taken down, meaning that they hired somebody for this position. But this one is it's an artist position, I think, for dungeons and things like that. So I can't help but start getting hyped for it because it has been so long since we've had anything Diablo related. There have been speculations Diablo 2 remaster or new Diablo project. I think it's going to be a whole new Diablo project, because if all of those who are listening to this check our show notes, they'll see that there's a small little interview piece from David Brevik, which is one of the lead designers on Diablo 2, where he says that probably most of the Diablo 2 assets are no longer there. So it's going to take a while for them to rebuild Diablo 2 the way that it was. So most likely this is a different project, which I'm in the camp of hoping that a new Diablo will be revealed at BlizzCon.
Well, they don't even have an artist yet, Michael. I mean, they don't have nothing drawn.
No, they just got the artist.
Oh, they just got. So nothing's drawn yet. He's got his notebook and he's like just started doodling.
Yeah, Tom, because the game is only for one artist.
Yeah, isn't that how it works?
No, the cinematics team can be separate from the artist team, and it was a dungeon artist, I think, specifically. They're looking at. So what I'm thinking of is they might already have something, and now they're starting to build the gameplay portion of it and maps within that gameplay area. So I know nothing about game design, so I could be completely off and be like, no, you idiot, they do this first. I don't know. But I mean, even if they just have some candles whooshing around and then they like reveal something, I'll be happy.
But I think it's a nice reminder that Blizzard is still thinking about Diablo, they're still doing something with Diablo, there's still something in the works with Diablo, because I want to get back into a Sanctuary and kill some demons, and I don't really feel like going into Diablo 3 because I'm just there's nothing new in there. Let's be frank.
I mean, it looks like it's
Oh,
running its course with regards to seasons, and I'm gonna let Michael just jump in here while he's got something hot on his lips.
yes. So Marty just mentioned that there is nothing new in Diablo 3, and while we didn't put it in the show notes, I had just seen it, is that they are actually releasing themed seasons for Diablo 3. What that means for it, I'm not entirely sure, but what that means is that they're gonna have themed seasons, and to be honest, I think they're taking a play out of Path of Exile's playbook, where they have different seasons.
But we do know. Didn't we talk about it last time, or was it me who is misremembering?
I
dreamt
think it's your age
It's
again
just
showing.
like
Maybe. Okay. At least we talked about it on I was invited to the Blizzard Umbrella this week, where we talked about it. So I know for a fact we talked about it there.
Oh,
that-
right. Okay, so you're doing the dirty on us, talking about stuff we're supposed to talk about here on another show.
That's why the show notes
Good.
were bare.
We're talking about it now. I was just pretty sure that we already had covered this, but apparently we didn't. So let's cover it now. We actually do know what the first theme will be, and the first theme will be greed.
Yes.
And
Ooh.
and that sounds amazing, but it's not, because the only thing we'll get is like
More treasure goblins.
treasure. Every time you run into a treasure goblin, that will be double up on them. So that's it. That's the theme.
Hey, well, if you're one of those people that
Hey,
enjoys
don't-
loot popping out a lot, then you're set. That's what it is. Loot
That's-
everywhere.
There's no new story though. There's nothing new to the game, and that's why.
Stop
I'm going
being
with it.
greedy, Marty.
Yeah, sorry.
Wow. I bet Selena's
but-
smiling off that one. She loves like puns and things.
But it feels like events like this are just to tide it over, to keep Diablo out there to a degree. It doesn't excite you, but the name's still popping up. It's an event. It's just keeping the name Diablo
Yeah.
in your face, and
Yeah.
it's not going to blow your mind with new story, new game mechanics. And I feel like this is the year where we probably should hear something new with regards to Diablo, because last year a lot of people were expecting Diablo 4, and I still had this feeling that was maybe too soon. But I feel like if you left it kind of another year and maybe another year, then people are starting to get this feeling that Diablo is not really cared about, which is, of course, it's not true.
Well, Diablo's dead, right?
It's like the middle child. It feels unloved. So it's like, hey, look, I'm over here. I'm still doing stuff. See, look, I themed the season. Look at me. And you kind of peek over, and then you're like, yeah, but you're still the same. Still in the middle.
But
It's like when there was an event for or was it the virtual ticket, and there was like no goodies for Diablo or something like that. It's
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like that.
everyone. Diablo dead game. Blizzard don't even want to give you goodies for it.
We've got portraits for StarCraft, for Christ's sake.
But no, what I do find a little bit intriguing with themes, though, is that they also said something about there is still some unannounced things going on that will be more like down to certain dates and stuff, and keep an eye on Twitter and stuff like that. They said so.
They're cooking something.
I'm still interested to see what it is, but considering that the theme was just an extra, treasure goblin, then I'm not getting my hopes too high up in that regard yet. But I'm definitely looking out for it, and I'm looking forward to see what actually they're going to do with the game. So, yeah. Someone's behind you, Tom. Who's that?
A special guest.
Oh, he left.
Was that
he
the one
left.
phoning in? He's like, you
was,
didn't pick
yeah,
up the phone.
I was an intruder in the room. This could turn into a horror story. The phone keeps ringing. People keep appearing behind me. It's very worrying. Very worrying.
Selena says that it's amazing how many people complain about every little thing Blizzard does, and I want to add,
Yes,
and
we
I
are
want
them
to,
people.
and I want to add, and every little thing Blizzard doesn't do.
That's how you know you made it. That's how you know you made it. Haters gonna hate.
Never gonna be satisfied. Never. I've been thinking about this a lot, actually, how when a company does something and you see like a lot of the initial reaction, especially on social media, which is a bit of a plague sometimes, is people like, oh, you should have done this X amount of years ago, or about time, or why haven't you done this yet? And it's like, sometimes it's just nice to sit back and appreciate something that you're being given. And saying like, this is something I could enjoy, and if you're not gonna enjoy that, then why are you here? Why are you complaining about something that's being announced if you don't want to take pleasure in that? Just there's and yeah.
You
Just-
mean like when we mentioned Anthem earlier, and you were like, "Ugh, EA, I'm done,"
That was
and you
me
just
again.
dismissed it?
E-
You're part of the crowd.
But I'm not going on social
He
media.
speaks
and-
from experience.
I'm not going out there and poo-pooing on people that want to play EA games. I have a stance with EA games, and I'm not going out there. I'm not giving out flyers. I'm not putting up billboards telling people not to play EA games. You want to play EA games, you enjoy EA games. That's up to you. You're happy with how they operate business. That's fine. If you're happy selling your soul to the devil, that's fine. But I'm not
Wow,
gonna go out
let's
there-
transition into something else from now. Jeez, I think we're
I'm not gonna
losing
go and tell
followers
people they
right
can't
now.
do that.
I enjoy video games. Doesn't matter what the company is. Just saying.
I agree with that, except EA. But anyway, what else do we have on the, Are we done with Diablo? Is that how we're signing off on Diablo?
I think we're done with Diablo. Yes. All right. Do you guys know that YouTube channel
No.
that I can't remember the name of right now?
Talia Nevertell?
Yeah, that one. Because apparently I don't know them. I can't remember them. So no, they make a lot of videos. And one of the recent ones they actually
do they?
yeah, they do. Taliesin actually touched on a thing that sounded so wrong, by the way.
Do continue, Marty. Show us where.
He touched on a subject.
On this doll, where show us where he touched it.
Oh God.
Oh man. I would hate for someone just to have come and joined our show live for the first time ever, and they would just be like, "Oh my goodness,
What did I walk
really
into?"
inappropriate."
Oh, hi giggles. Anyway, he touched on a subject that I thought was a quite interesting one, actually, because according to him and the video that he made, it is possible for Blizzard to actually maybe include a third faction into World of Warcraft. So it will not only be the Horde and the Alliance, there could be a possible third faction. So I was just thinking,
there was a third faction.
Playable?
There's the Horde, there's the Alliance, then there's the Tribe of Double Agent. Is that not three?
Wow.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking that I would ask you guys, what are your thoughts about this late in the game to introduce a third faction? Would it be possible to do so, and do you think it would be a good idea? Let's start up with you, Michael.
I'm really thinking about it too. I think that if they were to introduce a third faction, that they would definitely have to make this faction war really mean something in this expansion, because otherwise, what would be the point on going to a third faction when the Horde and the Alliance are so ingrained in certain things? I wanted to kind of lead into it with a story bit, like maybe the Horde and the Alliance just they take their respective positions to an extreme in some way or another, so extreme that Blizzard is okay, now you really have to choose. Are you behind these philosophies of the Horde and the Alliance, or do you feel like you're somewhere more in the middle and they've lost their identity? And then you can actually get behind a faction, because it just seems like right now the Horde and the Alliance they're basically the same two entities that Blizzard matches up in different ways, just to kind of make it so that the game feels the same for both sides. But I really would if you're gonna add a third entity there, you really have to differentiate it. And what better way than just making it a moral middle ground between these righteous Alliance and the bloodthirsty Horde? Make it get a certain way so bad that people actually say wow, this is not the Horde I remember, or this is not the Alliance I remember, and I don't agree with the way, kind of like how Jaina just left because she didn't agree with the philosophies of the Alliance anymore. She's like, I can't do it because I'm against them.
I'm just wondering because of what you're saying right now as well, how Horde players actually will react to. I might say, because I'm in the beta. I've seen the
Stop
beginning.
bragging. Jeez, come on.
I've seen the beginning, the first few scenarios, and I'm wondering, is people actually behind Sylvanas' actions? We will have to see in a few months when everything is live, because that's something I was like, and I've been saying it, that whoa, she's a little bit cray, isn't she, at the moment?
Some of us like a little bit of crazy.
The second you sign off on opening a Starbucks in Orgrimmar, that's a red flag to me. That's a red flag, and I feel like people are gonna question her motives.
Pushing out the local vendors in Orgrimmar. Don't approve of that lifestyle.
But also, as Giggles also said, and other people said in the chat as well, is that they need to sell the story, because it has to come somewhere from the lore and the story and what's going on, right? It wouldn't work without it.
Yeah, I mean,
or maybe a spaceship will arrive and a third faction will.
Oh no. I mean, Michael makes some great points there, and this is the part of the show where I'll just totally ruin what he's just said. But I feel like, as an Alliance player, Horde players, like we have that one race, within our faction that we go, you know what, I don't really care for them, and if I could remove them from the faction and just make them start their own
Frasley, cover your ears.
I mean, for the Alliance, if we lost the gnomes, would it hurt that much? And for the Horde, if they lost the trolls, would it matter that much? And the gnomes and the trolls could form the troll gnomes, and that could be an interesting. They could all go to Echo Island as well. They could chill out there, and I know gnomes have issues with their skin in the sun, but I feel like they'd be right at home in the Echo Islands with the trolls, and that could be an interesting twist in the storyline as well. And just imagine that. Imagine the implications of the third faction and how that could play out. Just think about it. Don't think about it too hard, but just think about it.
Have you thought about it, Michael?
I'm still thinking about it. I'm trying to decipher some of the things that Tom says sometimes. I think it's like you mentioned, I think the biggest one at this point in the game. I think if they introduce a third faction, that's an indication that they're planning on keeping it around pretty long in the future still, because why would you add something that big to a game that maybe you're thinking on cycling out or updating in a certain way, or a progression of it somehow? So I think if they do introduce a third faction, it's going to do crazy things to the game as a whole, because you're going to further separate groups, and then what would that do to like your dungeon queue and the raids and stuff like that, because sometimes we are already having issues with finding spots for our roles. So if you further split the base between like Horde and Alliance, and then you have the agnostics over there, like which ones, like what would that do to the gameplay in terms of queuing for things and PvP balance? Like who knows what that would do. I don't know. There's a lot that goes with it, more than just story.
I don't think I think the PvP aspect could be solved pretty easily, because even now in rated battlegrounds you can play Alliance versus Alliance. So it will be just introduced that to normal random battlegrounds as well, and then that problem is solved, right? But yeah, you bring up a really good point with the dungeon queues, because that could potentially be a big issue, I guess.
Yeah.
Unless they do something similar where you can. They talk. What happened to that, by the way? Weren't there at some point, or was that only for? Yeah, it was only for PvP, right? Where you could actually, if you have long queue times, then you can queue up as a double agent or something like that for the other faction. I would love to see something like that, maybe in dungeon queues. I think that might be a possible solution.
Could you imagine?
I would like if there was like a flag over you or something if you did that, so that as you're walking around like Dalaran or something, people could see that you queued for the other faction. Especially if like you're on a PvP server and everyone just gets mad and like kills you in town.
That would be cooler, but I feel like if you would have to keep your kind of alliance or your faction language as well. So if you were teaming up as human with the undead, that they were speaking gutter speak and you can understand what they were saying, like what what's he telling me to polymorph? I don't know. But I felt like there was going to be that aspect of learning languages when World of Warcraft came out because of that feature. I don't know. Can you actually still do that with when you're chatting? You can switch into your kind of native tongue.
Yeah.
But I mean, there we go. We could bring back like an educational expansion where everyone has to go to Dalaran and we hit the books and we learn languages.
Find tomes.
Find tomes and actually learn how to communicate with one another to overcome a common foe.
Oh yeah, that's right. Demon hunters can talk to each other
Oh yeah.
across factions.
I mean, that's how you work out the leaks. It's always the demon hunters. Or the
Well,
is it the demon hunters or the
Who
death
released
knights?
that information? The Demon Hunters.
technically, shouldn't warlocks be able to speak to each other as well because they speak demonic, right?
Yeah.
I think we're getting way too into it at the moment.
Maybe we are. Maybe we
We're
are.
gone down a path of like a third faction to why can't we speak to these people over here?
Well, technically, blood elves and void elves should be able to talk to each other, right? I don't know if they can, but they should be. They're both from the same elven,
Lineage.
faction lineage. Yeah.
I love the turn this conversation is
And-
took.
and
You know, Marty, we should
technically-
all be able to talk to each other because it's one world, and
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, I can speak to you guys, but you cannot in your native tongue. But you guys can speak to me in my.
oh yeah, when I get to Denmark, like I can't talk to anyone
No.
because everything I say just auto translates into English, and everything people in Denmark are saying, even if they're speaking English, auto translate into Danish, and I can't
Exactly.
understand.
It's,
I mean, imagine if the world worked that way. Imagine.
Yep.
I do have something to say about BFA. I tried to no, he's good. He's good.
He's moving in. He's moving in. Good. Good. He's not frozen.
I totally
He did-
froze, but
Yeah.
I totally saved it. That no one will know.
Yeah. Nobody knows it. All right. Sorry, Michael. BFA. What are you saying?
I was trying to play the beta, and I could not queue into the first scenario. I tried for like 15-20 minutes, like just constantly like re-going in, and it was bugged. And I rolled on the Horde side because I plan on playing Alliance for the main portion of it. So I rolled Horde, and I was trying to go through it. And the first scenario, the one thing you have to do, the first thing, I could not get into because every time I jumped in, Sourfang was not in the mood to talk. And I was just like, I'm like, oh my god, like, what is going on here?
That's
Bugs in a beta? Come
yeah. What the
on.
hell, man? But I don't
Did
know.
you report
I
the
mean,
bot, Michael?
I
you
did.
report
yeah,
it?
did you report it?
I
Yeah.
did.
Okay. Phew.
No, I haven't had difficulties to get in on them on any of the characters I've played, and I've played most of the classes through by now. I had one of those days where I was getting disconnected a few times doing the scenario, but I just alt F4 and logged back in and continued the scenario. So it wasn't a big issue, just more like an annoyance. I have not had any issues with actually not being able to actually get into it at all. So I don't know, but I mean, it could be maybe try and play around with your settings as well. Like view distance is usually a big setting that might disconnect you. It has been in the past, at least. So maybe
Because I have
maybe
everything maxed
try-
out right now.
Yeah, maybe try and just try and adjust that. It's a possibility, and I know it's been an issue before. So things like that can actually.
So what you're telling me is Blizzard is making me, even though I paid for all this equipment to play video games on a high level, they're forcing me to lower my
Yes.
quality settings because they can't fix their game.
Exactly. That's exactly right, Michael.
I mean, we're 2 months out, pretty much, from BFA. Why is it not fixed yet?
I don't know.
Why is it not fixed?
So if they had fixed it, then we wouldn't have this conversation that will bring us over the time mark that we need to talk about.
That's what it
And
is.
plus,
This
if
is
we're
just
if we're talking about this bug, we're leaving another bug alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So we're
exactly.
complaining about this bug, and then the other bugs don't get to get upset about those ones. So look at it that way, Michael.
I have not been able to experience any of the other ones because I can't get past this one.
But anyway, one thing that I really like the dungeon so far. I mean, the few of them I've made really feels like dungeons.
In terms of difficulty or just overall feel?
No, not in terms of difficulty. Actually, I actually feel like they might be. I mean, it is normal, so it is pretty much just steamroll everything. But the layout and how they play in and things like that, it really feels like a proper dungeon. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it. It's just it has a dungeon feel to them, and I think that's pretty.
Do you
cool.
think they'll be putting like more emphasis on that as well with the dungeon design, especially with kind of the mythic invitationals and stuff like that? Do you feel like that's going to get even more perhaps scrutinized than perhaps it has done in the past? I mean, obviously they put a lot of work into dungeons and how they work, but now with this kind of next level of, you know, this is going to be probably our most popular esports, because I feel like it's taking a bit more power over the arena side of things, and it's getting a lot of traction, and it's something unique that isn't really being done anywhere else. You are competing against somebody else, but you're not competing against them directly. It's this race through a dungeon, and it's unique that way. So I feel like maybe they will take more care of that, and especially because we have that keystone system as well, that these dungeons are going to get a lot of use, and having them kind of up to scratch. We don't want to go back to the days of the stockades, do we? Really, we don't want to go back there, and we've come a long way since. And
I will have to tell you one thing though.
Okay.
Stockade is coming back in Battle for Azeroth, and then I haven't spoiled anything, haven't said too much. That's all I'm saying.
Cancel your pre-orders.
The
everyone.
return of Hogger. That's the big bad in this one. Hogger has powered up. He's been pumping iron in the prison. He's been pumping iron in the prison. He's ready to go. He got garage style muscles now.
Hogger is the new black. Hogger is the new black.
Yep, that's it. So yeah. Anyway, I think
what a way to end. I mean, I feel like that is better than that this week.
Exactly. We can. Yeah, let's just get the hell out of here. I think that's a good place to do it.
Last orders! Last orders!
So here we are. We're at the end. I just want to quickly say one thing though, and that is that I was last minute invited to join the Blizzard Umbrella guys.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, it sounds very familiar to you, Michael. So I was like, all right, if we can do it in 50 minutes, because I got a raid to attend to afterwards. So and they said, yeah, let's do it. And so I joined the latest episode. So go to the Blizzard Umbrella one, check it out. We actually had some good talk about Diablo 4.
It's really good being on someone else's show like a few days before your own. Can you just copy their show notes and then you just talk about everything again?
Exactly what we did. Yeah. So, but yeah. With that being said, oh yeah, there's some stuff in the show notes. I should probably go through them as well. Tom and Michael, you guys were also on another podcast. Or did we already cover this? I don't know.
Yeah,
let's talk about it again.
Let's talk about it again.
Yeah.
I mean, Frasley is in the chat, so it's all good.
Yo, you want me to talk about it?
He's like, we're gonna talk about it, then he stops and takes a drink.
Well, you were on the episode.
Still recording a show?
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah.
I didn't press stop, but I mean, you guys were on, so come on.
Yeah, Tom and I were on the episode 56 of Frazzlecast with Frasley. He was kind enough to let us on there. It was the show of a million show notes. It was a good listen. Go ahead and check it out.
Yeah, we couldn't copy those show notes. My Google Drive's not big enough.
I don't have enough space.
Store those. Wow. I mean, talk about prepared. I mean, the total opposite of this show. That guy is prepared for a show.
Anyway. So it's talking of Freshly, obviously the Freshly report would be right after when I press the end button. So let us know your thoughts about anything we talked about on this episode, or if you have your own questions, feel free to contact us. Tom, how do people do that?
You can email the show at the Blue Recluse Podcast at gmail.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at the Blue Recluse. Come on over to our Discord, thebluerecluse.eu/Discord, where we talk about Blizzard games. We talk about free games that we found on the internet. That's the best part of the Discord channel, to be honest. We have a Patreon over at patreon.com/the Blue Recluse, and you'll be able to find all that information and more, including our show notes for this very episode, over at thebluerecluse.eu. And I'm also being informed by the gnome in my ear that you can go to thebluerecluse.com and also get the same results. I mean, that's amazing. The 2 website addresses.
What a world.
One
What a
website.
world.
Oh my god, this is just what a time to be alive. There we go.
And with those words, there's nothing else to say. But thank you
What a finish.
Thank you so much for listening to me rambling, and Michael telling the truth, and Tom, I don't know what Tom is doing.
Being here.
Just being here. Thank you so much for
Filling a
listening.
Filling a window.
See you guys next week. Bye.
Welcome to episode 42 of the Frazzle Report, a short news report by me, Frazzly, the Awesome Gnome, to deliver your weekly World of Warcraft news. Today I have a few smaller news updates to share. Firstly, news has come out that Pour More Coffee, which I talked about in episode 8, has been sold and is now called the Cupola Cafe. The owners have vowed to keep the same quality that the shop had when Jaina was running it during their Legion absence. Jaina decided that due to being a significant part of the Battle for Azeroth storyline, they could not continue also running the coffee shop. The rewards program is being phased out. You used to get a free drink after 12 cups, but now need to gain 125 anchors to earn your free drink. You earn 2 anchors for every silver spent. Customers are upset at the news, with some threatening to pour coffee into the bay in protest. Cupola Cafe has said they will honor anyone with an existing punch card on the old system until patch 8.2. In other news, Yrel has been missing in Legion, but we found out where they have been hiding. They are going to be a new hero in Heroes of the Storm. Blizzard announced their arrival, as well as Alterac Valley being added as a new map. No word yet if matches will last 3 days that some Alterac Valley games used to take in vanilla. I guess you will need a couple of coffee to stay awake in Alterac Valley and Heroes. Blizzard has announced that support is ending for the World of Warcraft 32-bit client on July 1st. Make sure to have your machines updated to support the 64-bit client. We reported on a version of WoW for toasters called World of Warcraft Toasted Edition in episode 29. We have found out that they are currently waiting on a 64-bit processor for their toaster. One frustrated developer grumbled that the entire thing is half-baked. Finally, we also have word Recluse Pizza is now building franchises all across Northrend. They'll be expanding to the Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor later in 2018, but they want to first see what the impact is of the upcoming war. They don't want to start a location only to have Zappy Boy take it out. This has been the Frazzle Report. I am Frazzly Sparkspan. You can find the show at frazzreport.com. Until next week, be awesome. Do you think pizza coffee would work?
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.
Yeah.